Hello everyone and welcome back to Seagulls Sky 2005. Today I am bringing you another brand new original series called Passenger Car Anomalies, where I will be discussing noteworthy passenger cars in North America. Today's episode I will be discussing the famous Milwaukee Road Super Domes. And without further ado, let's get into the history of the Super Dome. A dome car is a type of passenger car with a glass dome where passengers can sit and enjoy panoramic views of scenery. They can include features such as a coach, lounge car, sleeping car, or observation car on the bottom. Beginning in 1945, dome cars were primarily used in the United States and Canada, and a small number were constructed for use in Europe. Many cars operated in the United States were built by the Buick Company, Pullman Standard, and the American Car and Foundry, also known as ACF. The dome car was extremely popular on passenger trains in the United States through the 40s, 50s, and 60s. By the 1980s, many dome cars had been retired, and some of those have been preserved in tourist signs or stacked displays in railroad museums. However, VIA Rail Canada still operates a few dome cars, mostly on the long-distance train, the Canadian. The first successful dome car in the United States was the Vista Dome. The Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad rebuilt the car from a Budd-built stainless steel coach in their Aurora, Illinois shops. The car underwent testing on July 23, 1945, on the Twin Cities Zephyr. More domes cars were constructed, and by 1949, 5 Budd-built dome cars were found on each equipment set on the California Zephyr. The Milwaukee Road began taking delivery of the Superdomes in 1952. They were numbered 50 to 59. The name of the domes was chosen by an employee contest. The first numbered dome, number 50, was involved in a serious accident and burned. The shell was returned to Budd and was used to build another coach. The domes were used on daytime Twin Cities Hiawatha and the Transcontinental Olympian Hiawatha. The Superdomes were the first and only cars on the daytime Hiawatha train built by a third party. All of the Hiawatha equipment, such as the Beaver Top and Skytop lounges, were built by the railroads in their shops. The Superdomes were not a complete success in the Milwaukee Road service. The coach's heavyweight gave it a rough ride, and the seats in the dome area gave an inferior view because they were placed too low compared to the supporting bulkheads. Regardless of the issues, the fame of having the first full-length dome was a good publicity. After the Olympian Hiawatha was discontinued in 1961, the Superdomes were seen on other trains on the Milwaukee Road operated with the Union Pacific, including the city of Denver. The Milwaukee Road wasn't the only road to purchase full-length dome cars. Routes such as the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, Great Northern, and Santa Fe bought full-length domes. While these cars are similar in design to the Superdome, they have some differences. The Superdome seated 68 people in the dome section and 28 in the cafe section in total. The coaches could seat 96 people total. To cool the coaches, a 70-horsepower diesel generator was required to power an air conditioner. There were 2 150-gallon fuel tanks installed to provide the fuel for 2 generators for heating. The coaches were originally equipped with steam generators. The coaches weighed 224,000 pounds, were 85 feet long. They were 15 feet 6 inches tall and 10 feet wide. The coaches featured huge panes of glass in the dome sections. These panes of glass measured 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide. The domes are equipped with loudspeaker radio, radio programs, and public address announcement. Here is one of my favorite old films that explains the Superdome.
Yes, there's something new on the rails. America's first Superdome cars developed by Pullman in collaboration with the Milwaukee Road. Here, John Kiley, president of the railroad, and Charles Bryan, president of Pullman Standard Car Manufacturing Company, inspect the first completed car. Of course, the end-to-end dome on the upper deck is what makes this car unique, but it has many unusual mechanical features. This equipment locker houses two diesel-electric generators that provide for air conditioning, ventilating, and lighting the car. The generating units roll out on rails for easy servicing. The air conditioning system has 16 tons capacity, more than twice as much as in the average car. Before the Superdomes went into service, the first car was christened in a brief ceremony. Press, newsreel, and television cameramen were on hand, while the passenger traffic manager and the president of the railroad did the preliminary honors. Miss Jane Kiley did the actual christening of the car with a bottle of water from Lake Michigan and Puget Sound, symbolizing the territory to be served. Roll on, Superdomes, and bring new enjoyment to travelers over the line. With a series of dome cars in a single train, preliminary runs were made between Chicago and Roundout, Illinois. Almost 1,000 ticket agents and members of their families had come from all parts of the country for this gala event. The headdresses indicate these people have been initiated into the Hiawatha tribe. The Kiley family were among those who enjoyed the first trip in the new cars. Now, let's have a look at a Superdome in regular service on the morning and afternoon Twin Cities Hiawatthas between Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul, Minneapolis. Or on the transcontinental Olympian Hiawatha between Chicago and Seattle, Tacoma on Puget Sound. In all, there are 10 trains equipped with Superdomes. Entrance to the dome that extends practically the entire length of the 85-foot car is by stairways at either end. Seats are on floor level with no step-up. From the 68 individual chairs with adjustable footrests, you can enjoy an unobstructed view of town and countryside. All passengers on the train are welcome here without extra cost. The route lies through Chicago's suburban area, then the rich dairy country and the lakelands of southern Wisconsin. This is Pewaukee, one of many pleasant resort lakes near Milwaukee. North and west in the central part of the state is the famous Dells, an outstanding scenic attraction of the Midwest. As the route parallels the Wisconsin River and then crosses it, your window affords interesting views of the red and brown sandstone formations that are characteristic features of this area. The Dells are geologically young, dating back only to the time when the glaciers thrust down into Wisconsin. At La Crosse, we pass over the broad Mississippi River and ride along its west bank almost all the way to the Twin Cities. You see attractive summer homes, the wide expanse of Lake Pepin, the navigation locks, barge traffic on the river, and picturesque palisades with rocky outcroppings. The blossoms and pale greens of spring, the verdant richness of summer, the blaze of autumn, and the glittering whiteness of winter make the Great Valley a fascinating spectacle in any season. Here, one of the Hiawatthas slips along between the river and the hills with the striking profile of twin bluffs in the background. This scene is a few miles south of Winona, Minnesota. what's going on down below, let's take a look into the cafe lounge on the lower deck of the Superdome car. Set below the normal floor level is a delightful club room, decorated in a happy blending of modern styles with Indian motifs. Colors are soft and warm, and the atmosphere informal. Sculptured glass panels, tinted mirrors, and colorful photo murals add to the charm of this pleasant room. The cafe lounge is a perfect spot to loaf a while and get acquainted while you enjoy a beverage or other light refreshments.
In 1964, Canadian National bought 6 Superdomes from the Milwaukee Road. These would later be dubbed as Cineramics and were put in service on the Supercontinental and Panorama. In 1971, CN built the Upper Dome into a 3-section lounge. Because of this, seating would be cut from 68 to 56. In 1973, the upper deck was converted into an open lounge, increasing the seating to 56. CN also converted the lower deck into a diner. However, seating was reduced from 28 to 20. VRL would inherit these cars and were used up until the early 1980s, when they were sold to private owners. Amtrak released the 4 remaining Superdomes upon its inception in 1971, later purchasing them outright. They saw service on numerous routes, including the San Francisco Zephyr, Coast Starlight. Amtrak also sold all 4 in the late 1970s and would later acquire 3 of the 4 cars from Tor, Alaska in 1990, and would put them on the Auto Train service until 1995. The North Carolina Department of Transportation, or NCDOT for short, acquired car number 53 in 1996 and used it on the Piedmont before selling it in 2005. Despite all the Superdomes being retired, several have been preserved and remain in operation. One noteworthy example is number 52. This particular dome car served Canadian National, Via Rail, and other private operators. The dome car has now been a part of the Napa Valley Wine Train since 1995. The company refers to the car as a Vista Dome. Another is 53, which now travels with Milwaukee Road 484 number 261, and also the Reading and Northern owns 2 cars, number 55 and 59, both of which have remained numbered as 4 and 5. Canadian National still owns 1 Superdome, which is part of their executive train. Despite its issues, the Milwaukee Road Superdome stands as a testament to innovation in rail travel. Its panoramic views and luxurious amenities redefine the history of passenger railroading in the United States. As we reflect on this legacy, this iconic symbol continues to captivate rail fans and train enthusiasts. The coaches that have survived into preservation remind everyone of an era where elegance and comfort defined the journey. Thank you to everyone who watched this video, and a big thank you to Delaware Valley Roadfinder for helping rewrite the script and edit the video. Please give him big thanks and go subscribe to his channel. And thank you to everyone who has helped me along the way. I will see you guys down the line.
Passengers bound for the Pacific Northwest on the Olympian Hiawatha awake the first morning near Miles City, Montana. The Tongue and Yellowstone rivers are seen. Then the Bull and Crazy Mountains in the distance. Around noon, the climb begins over the Big Belts in the Rocky Mountain electrified division of the railroad. Shortly after lunch, the rails swing in easy curves through rugged Montana Canyon, where little 16-mile creek has carved an impressive gorge in the native granite. No road penetrates the upper section of the canyon, which is seen only by hikers and people on the railroad. It's a lonely life for the maintenance workers and the operators of the power stations. But the wilderness offers its own rewards, and few men ever request transfers. If you're a camera fan, and who isn't, you'll keep busy in Montana Canyon shooting movie or still pictures of fishermen in the creek, of the deeply eroded cliffs and battlements, the occasional sheep and cattle ranches, and the distant snow-clad peaks of the Rocky Mountain ranges. With open views up, down, and on all sides, the Superdome is ideal for photography. Youngsters find the high-up view endlessly fascinating. These little lads will spend happy hours watching for game and looking at the long train as it swings through the curves. Sometimes they can count every car from the electric locomotive on back to the streamlined rear end with its glass-enclosed skytop lounge. At Lombard, we pick up the Missouri River and follow it to its headwaters at Three Forks, Montana. There, the Jefferson, Madison, and Gallatin rivers unite to form the Missouri. This was the great northwestern waterway of pioneer days, used by Lewis and Clark and other explorers. Three Forks is the station for travelers going to Yellowstone National Park via the Milwaukee Road's famed Gallatin Gateway. Leaving the train here, you board motor coaches for a short trip through the irrigated valley to Gallatin Gateway Inn. From there, open-top park buses carry you 85 miles through Gallatin Canyon and the Rocky Mountain Dude Ranch country into the borders of Yellowstone and along the Firehole River to Old Faithful Inn. There's wonderful fishing all through the mountain country where countless streams abound with rainbow, brook, and cutthroat trout. Clearwater lakes and beautiful mountain settings offer boating, swimming, fishing, water skiing, and other attractions, such as pretty girls. Skiing is a fairly strenuous sport, and certainly a wet one. If you don't want to risk a dunking in the chilly water, leave it up to the expert young folk while you just ride along in the boat and enjoy the scenery. Continuing westward from Three Forks, the route of the Olympian Hiawatha picks up the course of the Jefferson River and follows it through its picturesque canyon in an easy but steady climb. Here and there are quiet pools which mirror the peaks of the Tobacco Root Mountains. Beginning at Piedmont, we emerge from the canyon and enter a broad upland with the snow-capped Rockies in the background. Just ahead is the Continental Divide overlooking the city of Butte, cradled on the western slope of the mountains. After passing through the Bitterroots on the Montana-Idaho border by evening moonlight, we pause at Spokane and awake in Washington's Cascade Range. Here the tall peaks shadow the right-of-way. Heavily timbered except for their rocky crests, the Cascades take high rank among the scenic areas of the Northwest. On up we go beside the blue waters of Lake Ketchelis to the pass at Snoqualmie Tunnel, a straight bore over 2 miles long through the top of the mountains. The lakes hidden in the Cascades are vacation areas with private cabins and attractive resorts on their shores. Once over the pass, the ride is downhill across the Cedar Falls watershed, through the suburbs of Black River and Renton, and so to the end of the trail at the twin Pacific Ocean seaports of Seattle and Tacoma. It is in the heart of busy metropolitan Seattle that we end this scenic ride across the continent in a Superdome car on the Milwaukee Road's Olympian Hiawatha.